was kind of the renegade in the family.
She had fun and you were the renegade, right?
Yeah.
What kind of games did you play in the neighborhood? You played games, tag, and...
Well, the first thing I can tell you is our direct neighbors were the Gonerman children. And of course, we didn't call each other when we were ready to play. One of us would go out in the yard and yell, "Hey, Rube," as loud as we could. I don't remember that. And then we'd know that everybody was ready to play. Well, we rode bikes, we made clubhouses. Arnie Garnerman and I one time put 2 tubs together and took it down to the pond and thought it would float. It didn't. Tried to make stagecoach, but that didn't go very far. And I was sneaking off to try to read a book.
The studious one.
I love to read.
Well, you went to college. Did you go to college too?
I went 1 semester.
At Springfield?
Yeah, at MSU.
MSU?
And then I got married.
And you went all the way through?
Mm-hmm. Have a master's.
And your what do they call it? What subject did you study? Your major?
Elementary
education
with a minor in library science, and my master's was in reading.
Did you get a job right out of college?
Yes, I did. But you know, once again, the small town. I happened to be working in the office. Well, I actually went back. I started not long. You were going when I started. Anyway, I went back then. I had my children, then I went back to school.
To get your master's?
To go back and get my degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working in the office for a little while that spring. At school. And Mr. Thomas, I told him that I was leaving, that I was going to go back and finish school and get the rest of my degree. And he said, when you get finished, you come and see us. You'll have a job.
There'll be a job for you.
And there was.
Did you gals work for your dad or anybody in Fairgrove when you were in high school, or?
I worked 1 summer feeding the chickens. Oh, we worked more. She hated that. We worked more than 1 summer. It was our job to feed them.
That's one time I remembered.
We had to wheel the wheelbarrow through.
Which chicken house? The one behind your house?
And she's scared to death of chickens.
Have you ever, every time you would stop to fill up the feeders, every one of those chickens just came at you. And I was literally scared to death, and I only remember doing it that one time.
We did it several times because I saved my money that I made. Dad paid us and bought different things, and she just spent it right along, if I remember right.
You can tell you're into that story now.
When we were Sue Harmon now, we would always go to town to hers and put an outfit on layaway. And that's what I was always spending my money on, getting an outfit out of layaway.
But you see, I was the player, and I just didn't care how I looked. I thought if I had a perm, my hair would, I wouldn't have to do anything to it. Complained about having to take a bath. So she took a photograph of me, which I still have, and to show me how awful I looked when I'd mend my ways.
Did you wear it?
No, it didn't work.
When you weren't in school, I know in school you had to wear a dress every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Even through high school. We're still of that era. And but during the summer, did you have play clothes, or play dresses, or jeans, or what? Shorts.
We just usually wore shorts.
And you all got dressed up to go to church every time.
Oh my, yes.
I don't remember what
was
wore in the
wonderful.
wintertime.
Easter was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Did
We'd
everybody
always
have
go
a hat?
shopping and get a hat and get a new outfit, and have the sunrise service and breakfast at the church.
Mm-hmm. Well, Betty tells me that you could wear dark colored things in the winter, and then at Easter you got to change into white gloves and white purses and white shoes.
Right. And no white after Labor Day.
That was the end of it.
But you could wear it after Easter.
That was the law, wasn't it?
It was the law.
I don't think it is anymore. Oh, no, it isn't.
It was the last argument I had with Jenny.
But you know, back to your question, we just played with, Naoka and I used to draw our own paper dolls and cut out, make our own clothes for them. And I haven't talked much about her, but we visited with her. I mean, we played with her a lot. And, or I did.
I think you did. I didn't so much. That's I'll read my book.
And you drew the clothes, and my mom used to use catalog dolls.
Oh, we did that too.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
But our mother was, I remember taking books out of the bookshelf and making, don't you remember this? We'd make rooms, make a big playhouse, and we'd put our paper dolls in there.
I don't remember that.
Well, maybe I just did it. I was always doing something like
Well,
that.
I remember things differently, and she remembers things, and sometimes neither one of us remember what the others remembered.
Probably because we
Well, your
really like to do
mom
different
isn't
things.
here to correct you anymore.
No.
Yeah.
When did your parents die, and what do you remember about that?
Oh, that was one of the most horrible things that has happened. It was in May 1984. We thought she had the flu.
Yeah, it was bad, but it didn't last very long.
Mm-hmm.
And come to find out, they finally took her into the emergency room, and she had a blocked bowel.
It had ruptured, Portia.
And I stayed here because Aaron was a baby, and when somebody came to relieve me, I had him. I went in and they all went to supper, and the last thing she said, she looked at me and said, "It hurts." And I said, "See that?" We still thought it was the flu. "See that medicine, Mom? That's going to make you better." And then her blood pressure just dropped to 0.
No, I remember it differently than you do.
And she went into a coma. But you and Jay stayed the night.
When I had spent the night with Barbara, Dad gave me a call and said, "You need to come home." Mom was vomiting, and she was vomiting what smelled like feces.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. That's what she was vomiting, because she had ruptured. And I said, "You gotta go to the hospital." And it was a bad time. Very bad.
And then he had a heart attack. She died in June. He had a heart attack in September and died in January. So it was not.
I know that affected the
What
whole
year
town.
was that?
He died in January 1985. He just lasted a few months after her.
And your mother fought leukemia for
Colon
many
cancer.
years. Wow.
Leukemia.
She had chronic, what, I can't think of the word now.
She had arthritis. I mean, but she kept right on going.
Yeah, she didn't look like she was sick at all, but I know because I do the cancer drive in the summer. And
Left a big hole in her life.
Sure.
In the
She
whole
had
town's life.
Yeah.
Your dad had been working at the MFA how long?
Well, I know early 30s. I know he was there in 36.
So over 50 years.
Oh yes, over 50 years.
Do you remember who was in the store buildings when you were children?
Yes, I do.
Hubert.
I'm talking about all the store buildings, and go ahead and we'll describe.
I remember Hubert.
You want to talk about the MFA right now?
No.
We can. Sam was there.
Sam was there, and I remember, of course, the MFA was where that flea market is now, and the feed room was in
The north.
the north side.
Yeah.
We'd go in there and climb around on the bags of feed. And
It smelled good, didn't it? I
yeah,
love
it smelled
that
good.
smell.
And Mom made us, the feed sacks back then were printed, and Mom, all of our clothes, a lot of them were mostly made from those feed sacks. I remember my first store-bought dress that wasn't a feed sack.
How old were you, do you think?
I had no idea. I don't remember, but I know it was red and green and gold taffeta.
Ooh, yeah. They wouldn't put feet out in taffeta.
No, and it was store-bought,
Oh my.
and I was so proud of that.
Did your mom teach you girls to sew? Did she have an old sewing
She
machine?
did. She sewed a lot. And our grandmother, Pearl Merle, we called her Mom Merle, sewed a lot. She actually sewed for other people, like Mrs. Bell.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? That I guess that's the difference in what we remember, because I don't even remember what I wore, hardly.
That wasn't
Just,
important to
no,
you.
just
No, it
as long
wasn't
as
to
I
me.
got to play.
As long as you were Gene Autry out in the yard.
I remember every Saturday I would get some material, usually down the store, because it came in bundles back then. Excuse me.
And whose store was that?
The MFA.
Okay.
Oh,
They just carried a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I would
Toys.
get some material, and every Saturday I'd make me a new dress.
And I'll have
I'd
to
wear on
say,
my date with Carl.
if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have had any clothes then. She'd make me dresses.
wow, and hand-me-downs too, maybe for a while.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we had hand-me-downs. I just remember she'd make me dresses, so I'd have something to wear. Wasn't that a good
I
situation?
know I sewed all through that time, and I haven't sewed. I never sewed after that. I was so tired of making my own dresses.
After you get one store-bought dress, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
That's the way I felt.